Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
About 3 months ago, I did 2 videos on the most surprising and most disappointing Formula 1 drivers at the midpoint of the 2019 season. Now let's take a look at the picks and see if they still apply. Or have I proven that I am a complete hack who doesn't deserve a YouTube channel? Let me know what you think in the comments and we will begin.
The Australian, with 7 Formula 1 wins to his resume, will look to break the top 10 by the end of the season.
5th most disappointing was Daniel Ricciardo, and in his defence, he did improve. A 4th place in Italy and a couple of 6th here and there saw him secure that top 10 finish. So as he did improve and beat the midfield, I'm going to replace him on the list.
Number 5, Robert Kubica of Williams. Yes, I have to give it to the man who a couple of months ago I said should be kicked out of his seat and sent back to Poland.
5th most surprising was Robert Kubica. And really, this was on the back of A, getting a lot of hate for being the person who said he should be replaced, and B, him getting Williams' only point of 2019, and honestly he's not staying on the list because George Russell has dominated him in qualifying and in the races. It was great seeing him back, and that in itself is an achievement that he should be proud of. But now hopefully he can move on and do something else, just not rallying.
But he needs to kick on because 14th in the final standings will be his worst year since his first with Williams in 2010.
And the 4th most disappointing was Nico Hülkenberg. And it's harsh as he is now unemployed, joining the peasants at the job centre while swigging German lager in his dressing gown. But I am keeping him on here because, as I said, you expect him to be more consistent than he has been. And whilst he did pick up more points in the second half of the year, it simply wasn't good enough. And again, he did get better, but he finished 14th, his worst ever season since his career began.
It must be really annoying for Daniel, who effectively was dumped by Toro Rosso and Red Bull a couple of years ago, and reacted by getting his head down and getting his seat back.
4th most surprising was Daniel Kvyat. And again, this was off the back of his podium finish in Germany, which quite frankly was a great result and a great drive. But how good was 2019 for Daniel Kvyat? Overlooked by Red Bull, which makes me think there has to be a reason, and it's probably that he's there just to make up the numbers because Red Bull doesn't have enough drivers in their scholarship program. And a couple of incidents, including harpooning Raikkonen. The second half of the year wasn't great, but he still picked up points, so maybe hanging on by his early season form, maybe not.
And he's starting to drop too far behind Hamilton to pose a realistic threat, condemning us to another year of Hamilton domination with no real challenge.
And the 3rd most disappointing driver was Valtteri Bottas, and again I'm going to keep him in this position because again, whilst winning 3 races and finishing 2nd in the points, he has not been a contender all year. He just doesn't have that extra level. Expect more of the same next year. Points finishes, but not what we expect from a Mercedes driver.
Always up there and scoring regular points, he is already best of the rest in 7th.
3rd most surprising was Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. This was a bit of a cheat, but I was surprised at how well both drivers were doing. It remained that way until the end of the year, and Lando Norris did great for his debut season. But Carlos Sainz climbing 6th was a major achievement. As well as taking his first ever podium, I think Carlos is a great driver and will only get better as the McLaren climbs its way back up the standings.
Grosjean's qualifying at Hungary was an up point, and he tends to do better in the second half of the year, but as he has already lost his race seat for next year, at least probably, he desperately needs to advertise himself to potential race seats.
2nd most disappointing was the whole Haas team. As a massive disappointment, Grosjean had a realistic chance of a podium in Brazil. He was ahead of Sainz before an engine issue dropped him down the field. But neither driver has scored points since Russia. They have always been at the back. Apart from Grosjean giving a couple of good quali sessions, there's nothing really to look back on. Now, I got two things wrong. I said Grosjean always does better in the second half of the year. He had a couple of good runs, but scored no points after Germany, and I also said he will probably lose his race seat, which he didn't. So yeah, I know nothing.
It seems harsh to say Kimi is surprising, but this seemed to be his retirement party, where he could just potter around at the back like a Sunday driver before heading off into the sunset.
The second most disappointing driver was Kimi Räikkönen. I was really impressed by his early season form, but since Hungary, he has only finished in the points once. A lucky 4th place in Brazil. I don't know what I expected from him this year, and it was maybe the Alfa Romeos losing in the development race and failing to keep up with their midfield rivals. And there has been bad luck there as well. Getting KO'd by Kvyat wasn't in the plan, but based on his early season form, this season really ended in disappointment for the veteran Finn.
Oh, Pierre, what happened? It must have been heaven knowing that he had impressed enough in his first season to convince Red Bull to replace Daniel Ricciardo with his inexperienced self.
And the most disappointing driver of 2019 at the midway point was Pierre Gasly. He was so bad at Red Bull, he just couldn't keep up with the front runners and at times struggled with the midfield. But since going back to Toro Rosso, he has been a new man. Consistently quick, scoring a lucky podium in Brazil, beating Albon in the points. I think he may have just saved his career, and hopefully Red Bull keep faith with him. He's definitely done enough to get himself off this list.
Of course it's Max, it really has been a breakthrough year for him. The only driver capable of taking it to Mercedes this year.
And the most surprising driver was of course Max Verstappen, and he has only gotten better. There's been mistakes and bad moves, but if you just look at Brazil, you can see clearly how talented he is. He dominated Hamilton with those 2 passes. And he is still young. He's going to get even better. Watch this space. He is going to be a champion in the next few years.
So that's the list from 3 months ago. Now let's look at my top 5 best and my top 5 worst from 2019. 5th worst, Nico Hülkenberg. Not the final year he would have wanted. 4th worst, Kevin Magnussen. Has not shown anything special this year. 3rd worst, Antonio Giovinazzi. A Ferrari-backed driver needs to show more than he has all year. 2nd worst, Romain Grosjean. Awful year, too many mistakes, but has shown pace in qualifying. And the worst of 2019, Lance Stroll. A lucky 4th place in Germany saved him from an absolutely torrid year. Now 5th best, George Russell. Beat Kubica in every quali session and can do better than he has shown at Williams. 4th best, Lando Norris. A great first year of consistent point scoring. Could have been more if it wasn't for bad luck. 3rd best, Alexander Albon. Did well when he was promoted to Red Bull, showing Pierre Gasly how it should have been done. 2nd best, Carlos Sainz Jr. What a year. Beating the Renaults and Albon and Gasly to 6th is a great achievement for him and McLaren. And the best of 2019, it's still Max Verstappen. Champion. Few years. You heard it here first.
So that is my retrospective of Formula 1 in 2019. Was it a good year? Not really. It's had its problems, but what it does have going for it is the young talent. Coming through, the likes of Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Albon, Gasly, Norris, Russell and others. The future is very bright for Formula 1. Like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you agree with, tell me what you disagree with, but most of all, have a good one.